It's double date time in Turner Gymnasium on the campus of the University of Lynchburg. We got the front half featuring our men's basketball contest. This is ODAC men's basketball. The Guilford Quakers, number 8 in the nation, stepping into the Hill City to take on the Lynchburg Hornets. I'm Evan Gates alongside my very good partner, Sam Graham. Super excited that you're spending this afternoon/evening with us in Turner Gymnasium. It's a matchup between two very contrasting styles and two teams that have really gone separate directions in January. And Sam, we know that this could be a crucial one just to get momentum down the stretch.
Yeah, first things first, we're in that weird time, 5 o'clock start time. We don't get a lot of those. I think we do need to kind of figure out, though, maybe if we want to classify this as afternoon or evening. It seems to have made a little bit of a difference for Lynchburg this year. They're 6-2 when playing in the evening. It's going to be dark by the time this one, you get about 10 minutes in. Let's say evening. I like evening
we'll go
today.
For it.
But yeah, I mean, it is that critical point of the year, and Lynchburg sort of in that toughest stretch right now, both in schedule, and then that's sort of reflected now in a 3-game skid. That's the longest of the year, and certainly an unfortunate time for that to happen. A team that was really good coming off losses for so long this year just weren't letting those losses stack up. Now they have a little bit, but there's still time to rectify things, and Evan, nothing does that like pulling a big upset in your home gym.
Well, listen, anytime you have number 1, number 8, and number 6 in 3 straight games, I think it's kind of justified that the results might be a little skewed. Lynchburg looking to put an exclamation mark on that 3-game round of affairs now as they take on Guilford. You see the stats on the screen, and you might be thinking, if you haven't really followed this team throughout the season, oh, well, this Guilford team, they don't score a lot. What is up with that? That's their style. That is going to be the game plan from the gun. We know that they are a team that doesn't mind having the fewer possessions. They're going to do great things with them. We know up front, Tyler Dearman and Julius Birch, 2 of the players to watch on the all ODAC teams throughout this season. But this is going to be a game where it really comes down to the little things if Lynchburg wants to really take advantage and try to get the upset.
Yeah, and it's one of those games where you almost feel like you need to throw the stats out. You run into this a lot with these teams that really prize their possessions, and they also keep possessions low. This isn't going to be a game where, Lynchburg and Guilford are going to trade, big-time blows, and most likely this game is not going to be won in the 80s. It's going to be the 60s, maybe the 70s. But teams like that play like Guilford, that slower tempo, sometimes, come up a little short if you just look at the stats. Look at this Guilford team stat profile, and it's not necessarily going to be the most impressive thing in the ODAC, and certainly not in the country. You watch them play, it's a different story, and I think that's going to be apparent pretty early today. But what do you want to look at when you talk about how one team can potentially upset another? We'll take a look at the grand plan for today, some of those keys to the game for each team, because Hampton-Sydney on the other side trying to avoid that upset. It's a big portion of the schedule for them as well. So we will start, Guilford, with our visitors here. So first things first, you need to be disruptive. When I was a kid growing up in school, I very frequently on report cards got back disruptive in class. That's what Guilford needs to be on defense today. This Lynchburg team sort of enters a different stratosphere when they're able to, first of all, protect the basketball, and second of all, when they're able to rack up those assist numbers, 6-0 when Lynchburg picks up 15 or more assists. So you got to disrupt that natural half-court offense for Lynchburg, and you got to avoid foul trouble. Tyler Dearman in the 2 losses, granted it's a small sample size, but Tyler Dearman and Julius Birch have both struggled a little bit. Birch in particular in foul trouble. Birch fouled out against Averett last time out as well. And that was a closer game than one might have expected, just a 6-point win over Averett. So got to avoid those fouls picking up against you. For Lynchburg on the other side, the point of attack defense will be huge. It might only be 2 or 3 times throughout the course of the game that you're able to make Tyler Dearman uncomfortable, but that might be all it takes to potentially pick up a big win. And you got to prize the basketball. It's not going to be an easy task. We got to be upfront about that. Lynchburg has got to be in single digits in turnovers today. I think that is the padlock stat, if you will. If Lynchburg at 8 or 9 turnovers or fewer, they got a chance in this ballgame.
Certainly no avoiding that. We'll have 40 minutes of basketball on the other side here in the Hill City, Guilford and Lynchburg.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Living the dream.
USA, Mexico. That was so exciting.
Well, welcome back in the 4-3-4, and as we get ready for today's contest, going to take a look at our players to watch. We know that throughout the ODAC schedule, you're going to have so many different contests that require those different playing styles, and it's going to be crucial just to get out and really stick to your game, Sam.
Yeah, so we'll start with the visitors, as we always try to do. Guilford, we talked about this pregame, Evan. Sometimes you want to get creative with you know, who you're going to make the player to watch. I don't think that's necessary today. It's Tyler Dearman. I mean, he comes in averaging 20 points per game. That's good for second best in the conference. He can score from anywhere on the floor. He's got the most three-pointers made on the Guilford team. He leads them in pretty much every statistical category. He has been fantastic. They ride and die with this guy. And while Julius Birch will certainly be a big factor in here too, as well as really the 6 or 7 main guys for this Guilford team, it's going to run through number 34. For Lynchburg, this has got to be a big game Taylor game, right? Miles Taylor last year, it seemed like every time Lynchburg was playing a team with a number next to its name, Miles Taylor had himself a big outing. Think about CNU, think about Randolph-Macon. That's got to come out today. He's averaging 12.5 points in conference play. That's good for best on the team. We need a big one from MT this evening.
Well, Mount Taylor has certainly just grown stronger and stronger throughout the season, shooting 46% on the year. We'll go ahead and introduce you to the starting lineups here in Turner Gymnasium as well. Guilford goes out with the same lineup. They have all 20 games this season. Number 1, Rob Littlejohn, the grad student from Columbus, Ohio. Number 10, Caleb Farish, the 6'7" junior from McLeansville, North Carolina. Number 15, Luke Proctor, 6'2" junior from Apex, North Carolina. And as you said, Sam, number 23, Julius Birch. He's going to be on all ODAC watch list, as well as Tyler Dearman. We're going to have plenty to say about him throughout this contest. Lynchburg starts with Jake Hart, and he has been significant this year in his freshman role up front. Miles Taylor, Jonathan Faust, Cameron O'Connor, and Pearson Young will round out that lineup. And guys who really just want to really try and ruffle Guilford's feathers early. We know that if you're trying to spark an upset, especially against a top 10 team, it starts with the energy right out of the huddle. We know Lynchburg's going to have it today.
New song for the starting lineups tonight, Joker and the Thief. Lynchburg trying to be the thieves of some joy from Guilford. If you didn't think it was a big game, we got the Hornet in attendance. The Lynchburg Hornet mascot, Dell, is in Turner Gymnasium. It's a big, big night of hoops. Kyle Haney's on PA tonight. He was tweeting the other day, could this be one of those big nights people talk about in Turner Gym for the weeks and maybe even years to come? The men are going to try to get the ball rolling here.
Absolutely, going to be so much fun, and we are just getting started in the first half of our doubleheader. Farish, Faust in the circle, and we are underway. Jake Hart will corral Lynchburg, looking to get things started early. And Jake Hart, one of those guys, a past first point guard. We've seen him really grow throughout this season, just trying to keep control of this game. We know that Guilford, despite being slow on offense, is going to really make you work and guard that perimeter tight on defense.
Good movement off the ball here for Lynchburg. Got to keep the rock and the off-ball movement going.
O'Connor going to get things started early. Welcome to the party. And the grad student out of Roanoke, Virginia, puts 3 on the scoreboard.
He's gotten a little quicker with that release too, Evan. That's a huge advantage. If he can get that shot off faster, he's going to be able to get more shots off, and he's a great shooter from the corner.
Ferris down low, awkward layup, can't get it to go. Young corrals, and now Hart has an opportunity to slow things down. Now, this is a Guilford squad that has lots of grad talent. We talked about Cam O'Connor on Lynchburg's end, but when you have 3 grad students in the starting lineup, it's pretty easy to see why you've had so much success. Coach Palumbo of Guilford has just been so fortunate to see this group progress, hoping to really go deep in the tournament this season. As this pass is going to escape everybody and escapes out of bounds. Lynchburg basketball.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Evan, you think about that 2018-19 season, the year before, those guys that are now graduate students, 5th years, got here. This is a team that went to the Elite 8. In the 4 seasons since then, it's been stair steps, moving up until last year, reaching the ODAC title game. Now you try to get over the hump and win that title game.
Young, a few dribbles out to Faust. Shot clock at 10, corner. Here is Hart. Lets it go. Somehow Faust gets the offensive rebound. Nice work to get around Farish. Fresh 20 seconds. Faust, another 3. This one off the mark. Lynchburg, tons of offensive rebounding to start this game. You like the hustle as Cam O'Connor is going to go into the Guilford bench. The Quakers will keep the basketball. As we said, Guilford coached by Tom Palumbo in his 21st season, 22-6 last season, over 600 career wins. He is the winningest coach in Guilford history, not just for this basketball team. He's been National Coach of the Year in 2010. I mean, you can go on with his resume. Just one of those guys who really earns his players' trust.
Yeah, and over 600 career wins. That's not to be trifled with. Coach Palumbo's always got something up his sleeve, and he's cooking up one of his best seasons really in his career, and that's saying something in this 23-24 campaign.
Taylor going to pick up his dribble out to O'Connor. This is a Lynchburg squad that changed its starting lineup really halfway through the season, and Taylor has been that addition to the starting lineup. You see why. Nice and easy, smooth operation to the rack, and Lynchburg up early.
Off-ball movement is crucial, but when you can put it on the floor and drive right down Main Street, that'll get the job done as well.
You know, Sam, it just seems like Taylor's one of those guys. We know he can play everywhere on the floor. Is Guilford going to sneak away? They'll keep the basketball on their end. Taylor's just one of those guys. He can play everywhere. He understands his role. He's not going to try to do too much with the basketball. Stearman going to kick out to Proctor. He had all the time in the world. It's just going to roll off the rim. Lynchburg in transition again. Here's that stylistic difference. Young for 3. No good. Another open look. And looks like it might have been off Julius Birch last.
Evan, we won't jump to conclusions here, but in the first 3 minutes or so of this game, I will say Guilford looks just a little bit uncomfortable. You know, they want to play in the half court. They want to play slower, never going to shoot it with more than 20 seconds left in the shot clock. Lynchburg more than happy to take those threes in transition. So maybe a little bit of discomfort from the visitors early.
Well, that's why offensive rebounds become important quickly, because you get those extra looks. You're not just one and done where Guilford can exploit it on the offensive end. Here is Hart into the paint. No good. Proctor corrals.
Wound up getting a pretty good look at that for how late in the shot clock that possession got.
Jake Hart is one of those guys as well. He's not going to shoot the ball a ton, but we've seen a few open looks early in this ball game. Here's Dearman, gets him up in the air. Out to Littlejohn. Spreading the perimeter, just looking to get the cut. Great timing. Here's Dearman. He's met with everybody in the paint. He's going to go to the line for 2. Fouls on number 1, Jake Hart.
And he was met by everybody, but Jake Hart actually had that defense kind of nailed down. He was ready for the drive from Dearman, met the ball at its highest point, and would have had the block. The help defense draws the foul, though.
So fun to watch as Tyler Dearman, not just in ODAC play, but obviously you understand this guy is going to be likely performing on the national stage if this Guilford team can get some momentum going into the tournament. Certainly looking at earning at least an at-large bid. We know the ODAC is filled with talent. But number 34, same high school as Julius Birch, Southern Guilford. Sam, we talked before the game, that's a program, North Carolina, that's really been able to play some ball.
Yeah, not my high school in particular that would run into them all that often, but one of the high schools from my county, Mount Tabor, another great basketball program, and I had a friend that was on their team. And, yeah, Southern Guilford was one of those that they'd run into in the state tournament pretty much every year, it seemed like, and always gave him some trouble. And of course, he would have been playing both Birch and Dearman.
Dearman, 82% from the stripe. He leads the team in that category. Makes both on their end. As Lynchburg trying to increase the lead early. Taylor out front. Going to give it off to Hart. Here's that high screen. Got to be careful getting back. Dearman overcommits. Now to the corner. O'Connor wants to get to the rack. And Hart, an open look. Straight away jumper. Believe it. The freshman, Jake Hart, putting another three through the rim.
How about the poise and the confidence there from Jake? I mean, he's leading this team in minutes, and a minutes distribution looks a lot different than Guilford's, but to have a freshman that you trust that much, that's just huge. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really special career for Jake Hart.
He just has such a fantastic feel for the game, as does Rob Littlejohn. Another three, you can't connect. Here comes Taylor. Lynchburg not wasting any time. And we've seen that tight perimeter defense, but just a few plays where Guilford has gotten caught on those back cuts. Here's Taylor. He's open from the corner, and he swishes it. 11-2 early on Hornets.
Great off-ball screen from Jake Hart to free Taylor up there in the near wing. This is a perfect start for Lynchburg early on. I love the movement off the ball. I love the off-ball screens. This man-to-man defense might have to workshop a little bit for Guilford.
Folks, this is a Guilford squad as Dearman going to get bailed out. You could say it's going to be a foul. Looks like it was Pearson Young who just got a little too much contact. This is a Guilford squad that is third in the nation for points allowed. They have certainly been able to produce just from a defensive standpoint.
Pearson Young, I think, going for the tie up there too. But yeah, I mean, anytime that you have that contact hitting so hard with the floor, it's going to be tough as the defensive player to get the call. And it doesn't help that it's Tyler Dearman, who is very potentially pretty much him and DeCibio is the battle for ODAC Player of the Year.
Boy, will that be fun down the stretch. Jump shot left a little short. Rattles around, 2 offensive rebounds. Now Proctor can recollect. Here's Dearman. He can't get the three. It is Brick City right now for Guilford. Lynchburg's running again. Taylor getting downhill, and it's going to be a blocking foul. Count the bucket. Mount Taylor is growing. You find the summit, and he meets him at the rim. 13-2 Lynchburg.
MT goes strong to the basket again. Love everything about that take. You know, he had Pearson Young out to his right side, had the pass potentially, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to put your head down, attack the basket. Nice little sidestep there in midair to avoid picking up the charge. Beautiful from Miles Taylor.
Right thought from Proctor. Just looked like he was inside the circle. That's the reason the ref will call the blocking foul. Lynchburg up 12. Sometimes we've seen this season. It's easy to get ahead of yourselves, but if you can use that confidence down the stretch and allow your bench to really believe it as well, this is a Lynchburg team that is not afraid to go deep into the rotation. Another scrap.
Pearson Young playing great defense on Dearman so far. We knew that that's who he was going to be assigned to today. And that's a great cleanup crew by Julius Birch down low. But yeah, great, big credit to Pearson Young early on for that close defense on Dearman.
Dearman had a fantastic move. You can tell maybe a little flustered, just missed the gimme, but Jake Hart's not going to miss it on his end. Timeout, Guilford. Lynchburg, 11 every second of it from the Hill City. They're up 12 on the number 8 team in the nation. We'll be right back on the other side. Lynchburg, 12-point lead.
Today's a rough day. Jess and I are officially on a break. The couple canoe has broken up.
How you feeling?
Living the dream.
Just canoeing. That's the Mexican side behind me. The U.S. is that way.
So far, we're all still alive.
I really want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Woo! We did it! Kind of.
Well, an early start for Lynchburg. You see Jake Hart with the layup on one end as Lynchburg leads by 12 points. Guilford, to make a correction from our last point, 6th in the nation now with the new ranking, so it's going to be obviously a big contest either way, but we know it has been a very nice start for the Hornets.
And 3 straight games against teams with a number next to their name, Evan, and not just any number, not 24, 25. You're talking number 1, Hampton-Sydney. Number 10, I think they're now number 8, Randolph-Macon. Number 6, Guilford. I mean, this is just a brutal part of the schedule. Lynchburg 0-2 in those first 2 games in this slate. You felt like, can you just get one? One kind of felt like a victory because you have a couple very winnable games down the stretch. So is this the one that Lynchburg's able to steal? It's a Guilford team that's been really good on the road, only 1 loss on the year away from home. So I don't want to say they're going to get rattled by an early burst from Lynchburg, but certainly a good start for the Hornets.
Certainly triangle of death as Makovic gets the rebound, wrapped up down low as Dawson Edwards entered the ball game from Jordan High School, same high school as Elijah Davis. Young tries to get it down low. Dearman showing the athleticism to go and snatch it. Also into the game for Guilford is number 43, Keyshawn Tate. Here's Edwards surveying, trying to get past Faust. Lynchburg has just really shut down the door to get inside the perimeter, and both teams trying to hold true to that style. But we've seen a few drives where Dearman has had it open. 6 on the shot clock. He's going to have to work quickly. Out to Proctor. Still hassled while Lynchburg defense misses everything. Hand on head, shot clock violation.
Not much is going to get the Lynchburg sideline more fired up than a shot clock violation. And yeah, throwing some different looks at Dearman. Got a switch defensively. Pearson Young now on Gabe Proctor once he entered the game. That's the top 3-point marksman for this Guilford team in terms of percentage, and the top 3-point marksman in the country, in the conference in terms of percentage as well. So Pearson Young getting a little bit of everything, but you love to have that guy that you can just stick on pretty much whatever guy defensively at any point.
Well, the Proctor brothers, another point, as you mentioned, 2 of those guys who make it so difficult. We know Gabe shooting 45.7% from 3, but nice work early. 3 has not been falling for Guilford. Here's Jake Hart on the other end, front rim. Edwards just trying to get his teammates up. It was Gabe Proctor who went to the floor, but up and away Guilford goes. 12-17 in this first half to play. Tight defense from Lynchburg all around. Here's Birch, really first moment of isolation. Pass around, it was a good one to Edwards. No good on the 3, and a foul on the rebound. It's going to be on Julius Birch.
It's a tough one. I think it's actually against foul. Oh, no, now they're correct. So, yeah, at first it looked like they were going to stay on this end, but now it's Faust that's going to inbound it for Lynchburg. So, I'm going to be honest, Evan, I could have seen that one going as a no call. I thought they just kind of got tangled up down around the ankle area, just both going for that rebound. But we will get a chance to check in DeAndre Ross, so that'll be fun.
All right, listen, now this is completely opinionated. Maybe best shoes on the floor. He's going with the white kicks today and the gray uniforms. Dre Ross, one of the guys, brings lots of energy and hustle for this squad. Edwards trying to strip Faust. Now Makovic has an open lane. Dearman takes it, 2-on-1 opportunity. He's going to meet Young at the rim. Great defense by the sophomore, and he's going to take it the other way.
Point of emphasis is limiting fast break points for this Guilford team. They don't get out in transition a ton, but if you can hold them, to 2 or 3, like Shenandoah and Randolph-Macon did in their 2 losses, that's a big win. So good transition defense there from Lynchburg.
Maybe a key to the upset. Makovic doing the hard work down low. Deflection will keep it with the Hornets. Guilford in the early going 0 for 7 from beyond the perimeter. That is obviously something that has to change, but we've seen that against Lynchburg teams, both men and women's squad throughout the season. Just because you're shooting bad early doesn't mean that the keys to the castle are not to be found. They have an opportunity. As O'Connor dribbles off his leg, Guilford will take possession.
Credit on the help defense to Dawson Edwards, because Birch sold out for the steal there against O'Connor, didn't come up with it. That would have been probably a dunk for O'Connor had Edwards not swooped in there at the last moment and disrupted it. Also note O'Connor was kind of shaking his hand, so I don't know. Hopefully nothing major there for COC.
We'll have to keep our eye on that. Talked about Dawson Edwards a lot. The 5'10 senior from Durham, North Carolina. 5 players from Durham in this contest. But Edwards is just so shifty, so athletic. He has the ball now. Saw him dunking in the warm-ups, and you could tell he was ready. Dre Ross a little too handsy, 2-on-2 foul.
Well, E.G., you're the big guy. You're the big shoes guy. I'll point out the hairstyles here. Got the Jimmy Butler, as far as I can tell from here, rocking there for Dawson Edwards.
It works
Been
for
a fan
Jimmy.
of that one. You know, I know Jimmy also likes the, you know, was it the iconic roster picture with the, you know, the long hair. That's quite a look too. But I like the braids. Good look there for Edwards.
Don't get me started on the roster pictures. I think I like the first style better. A great move from Birch off the glass, too heavy.
Big boy rebound.
Makovic is just one of those guys. He'll go get you one or two. His roll down low, so crucial for the squad. Easton pulls up from Canada. Can you feel the syrup, Sam?
He might have seen Michael Hayes out there. That was from Ontario.
Maple touch, and Jason Easton, he's been starting to get on fire as of late. Later in the season, starting to really find his touch from three. And Guilford, another turnover. An easy one that just goes over the hands of Proctor, and now Lynchburg is still sailing up 15. Another timeout for the Quakers. So we're going to take a quick break on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network, but right now it's all Hornets in the Hill City.
Look what you're missing.
Lynchburg is all about you, your ideas, and your goals. We've got one professor for every 10 students, so you can get all the support you need. In the classroom, in the lab, or in nature, you'll learn by putting yourself out there, and we're right there with you.
Well, we're still trying to really collect our thoughts. 19-4 Lynchburg in the early going versus number 6 Guilford. And this is a Guilford squad coming off their worst three-point shooting performance of the season. 17% from three-point range versus Averett. Obviously right now 0 for 7, so things have to change in a hurry.
Yeah, and conversely on the other side, Jason Easton nailing that big-time three last possession for Lynchburg. Yeah, you mentioned a little bit of a slow start for Easton to the year, and they really were counting on him early with Elijah Davis being out of the lineup with that that hamstring injury. 6 of 23 from deep against ODAC opponents this year, but looking really good early on tonight.
Dre Ross in isolation, unable to connect on the mid-range, maybe a few too many dribbles, as Birch will now take it past the timeline. So Guilford trying to reset that offense, get Dearman open. That was a double screen that still doesn't go through. Here's number 34 from beyond the perimeter, no good. They have certainly tried to take him out of the ball game early, but still finding the ball in his hands as Easton, it's easy, Sam Graham, another three for the sophomore.
Evan, you could kind of tell that one was going to be good before Easton even got the ball. Confident shooters make a lot of shots.
You don't need your binoculars for that one. He is seeing the rim like a hawk. And Guilford still trying to find the rim. Proctor guarded tightly. Now it's Farish. They get Dearman down low at the post. He's going to get past Ross. And a few touches on the rim and in. That's why he's an all ODAC selection. He can do it all over the court.
Yeah, because that was good defense from DeAndre Ross, just better offense from Dearman. It's those shots that, you know, the unscripted ones, the ones you can't necessarily count on, the great players make you count on them. So a really strong take down low for Dearman, showcasing that ability to score in a multitude of ways.
Lynchburg has certainly had defense on their mind early in the season. Coach Scott saying that was one of the areas he really wanted his squad to hone in on, the stuff you can control. Julius Birch, a few quick steps to the rack, off the glass and in. Number 23 is going to get an and one opportunity and make that his fourth and potentially fifth points of the game. I was going to say that's his first.
That's a great matchup for Guilford, one that you might want to try and exploit a little bit as much as you get it, especially in situations like that. Not to take anything away from our guy Makovic, M&M, but Birch, just an incredible athlete, great length, and he's got that great first step speed, and he kind of showcased that, the step to the right. He can put it on the floor, and it's easy for him to get to the basket. Makovic just going to be a little bit slow when it comes to that matchup.
Quick foul trying to get out and about on Dearman. Talked about Julius Birch and what he brings to the table. Well, he's 6'3". He's the same height as Dearman at the point guard position. So you're thinking, okay, well, this guy can go out and really get you a double-double, averaging 10.5 points per game, 9.5 rebounds. But you think about athleticism, just the fact that he's one of those forwards who can do a little bit of everything. I think we've seen it early, too, just his quickness getting to the rack. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, a guy that leads the ODAC in rebounds, rebounding average. Just take a look at Dell the Hornet getting it on with the cheerleaders to our left. Yeah, Birch is just fantastic in a multitude of ways. I mean, December was a huge month for him. I think that's really what got him off and running this year. They only played 7 games. He had a double-double in 4 of them. And he's kind of kept that going into the new year. He's just kind of reached that new level, 6 double-doubles on the year. But, yeah, I mean, you look at him walking out there with Dearman, yeah, they're the exact same size, pretty much the same dimensions. And it just kind of the duality of man, I guess, if you will. Just anybody can play any position at, at the end of the day, right, Evan? It's all about mentality.
If you had Dearman on the post getting a bucket over Dre Ross on your bingo card, congratulations. As Hart tries to keep the party rolling, we see Jordan Parham. Boy, did he have a day against Hampton-Sydney. So it's going to be a call. Long. It's going to be out of bounds. That Guilford will take possession. Back to Parham. Number 0 had himself a 28-point affair versus Hampton-Sydney, and it's just one of those days. I mean, you think he starts on, I think it was a start that game for his first of the season, but majority of the season starting on the bench, just comes out. He can do that on any given day. Just such a good shooter as well.
And he's had a couple of those big offensive games here recently, and it's really cool to see JP kind of find his offensive stroke again. He struggled a good bit from 3 overall in the year last year. He's up to 41% on the season right now, so if he can keep that going, it's a big boost off the bench for Lynchburg.
Potentially a momentum-shifting couple of plays. It looks like it's going to be Proctor who goes to the line for 3. We saw that Dearman on the other end got a little aggressive trying to get the ball, but it will be 3 shots. The Quakers a chance to make it a 10-point game. Love the crowd in here as well, Sam. We have a doubleheader. Obviously, you don't get many of those throughout the season. We know that the men's and women's squads have those different schedules, but back at school, it really just feels like this is what Turner's all about, having everybody back in the gym.
And these can be fun because it's a 5 p.m. start, so a lot of teams are, at practice, wrapping up homework, maybe coming in from dinner. So people really just trickle in throughout the entirety of the game. And so, yeah, it's cool because as the game gets a little more intense, as you get further and further into things, you hope the gym does as well, as more people, again, filter in and fill up these seats. And hopefully they stay for our women's game coming up on the other end. Once this one goes final, that's a big one as well, taking on the nationally ranked Generals and ODAC leading Washington and Lee out of Lexington.
Got to watch Mary Schleissner. She is a threat 24/7. Guilford 6 for 6 from the stripe, so despite some poor shooting in other categories, they're keeping this one close. That's what the good teams will do. Now Lynchburg trying to respond. Hart, cross-court pass to O'Connor. 10 on the shot clock, back outside. And now Faust with some room. Tries to use it downtown, and somehow Young gets it. Shot clock didn't reset. Taylor got it off and off the rim. Finally, Birch corrals.
Yeah, I think maybe Taylor had thought that the shot clock had reset. You saw a quick, panicked move there at the last second and kind of forced that shot up right there at the end. And you mentioned a bit of a momentum shift. Yeah, big time coming out of the timeout. I believe it's a 6-0 run now for Guilford.
That's such a great draw up from Coach Palumbo. If you want a quick 3, just try and keep the defenders out of it. Farish gets a good look. Now Pearson Young on the other end. Trying to get past Littlejohn. Jump stop. Going backwards, not the shot you want. And Proctor has it, and they can slow things down.
Guilford swapped into zone, and Lynchburg's having a little more trouble in the half-court offense. So first things first, try to combat it by getting out in transition, get some turnovers, but going to have to come up with some sets to break down that zone.
As we said, teams that play in the ODAC, you understand you're going to get lots of different looks, but you got to be ready for those moments as there's a foul going to the rack. Another one on Jake Hart. We'll see if there's a substitution in the cards for Coach Scott. 16 teams in the nation have 2 losses or less. Can throw Hampton-Sydney into that mix as well from the Old Dominion Athletic Conference. And then, yeah, Randolph-Macon, another squad who, despite their record not being as clean as the others, they have the tournament experience. We know that Coach Merkel has won a national championship before.
We'll get Landon Sutton into the game. First time we've seen him since the Bridgewater contest. So he's been out the last 2, gives some great backup point guard minutes for this Lynchburg team. 2 ends of the spectrum, Jake Hart, the freshman, Landon Sutton, the senior.
Looks like timeout was granted. It was a tight one as Proctor was on the floor. So we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be back on the other side on LHSN. Lynchburg up 7 in the Hill City.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
Here's another look at Dell the Hornet, loving every second of it. Got the 23 jersey. That would have gone pretty well with last year, but now, you know, 2024. It has been 2024 that has proven to be a little difficult for Lynchburg. 2-5 in the month of January, but obviously a win today would put a lot of that to rest. But Guilford is starting to shoot again as Caleb Farish hits another three-pointer.
Make it a 9-0 run, and now back-to-back threes from Farish, starting to combat our point. It was a great start running Guilford off of the three-point line, or at least making the three-point tries tough. These last couple trips, not as much.
Here's Sutton trying to direct the offense. Taylor had a couple inches, misses this one, and it will dribble out of bounds. Other games in the ODAC starting at 5 o'clock. Randolph-Macon is at Bridgewater, and then Mary Washington on the road at Averett. That is a non-conference battle. Also some more games later on today. We know that strength of schedule in this conference certainly will have an impact, not just for the committee, but you look at really trying to get those conference standings ready, and it's going to even out by the end. You have to play everybody.
Pearson Young switched back on to Tyler Dearman, following him everywhere he goes. He's in the back pocket. Misses out on the spacing, though. I'm not sure if that was a shot or a pass. Nonetheless, Dearman's probably going to try to get the passer an assist there.
6 points for Tyler Dearman, and just able to do enough to get the rebound. He has been disruptive on defense today as well. His hands are everywhere. Now Sutton kicks out to O'Connor. He was ready. 3, clips the rim and out, and all of a sudden, folks, Guilford just down 2. Here's Proctor. He's going to fire for 3, and the Quakers are leading in Lynchburg. What a run for Guilford to come back, and Coach Scott wants to talk things over.
Yeah, no panic from the visitors. When you're number 6 in the country this late in the year, you've been in every single position, and you've come out victors more often than not. So, like we said, we didn't expect Guilford to look at that 16-4 deficit and say, oh, well, I guess we'll be 18-3 now, you know, we'll just move on to the next. Like, they're not, that's never going to happen probably with anybody you're playing, certainly not a team with as much at stake as Guilford. I mean, this is a team fighting for a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. But how'd they do it, right? They started on the defensive end. You switched it up. The man wasn't working. Lynchburg was having a lot of success against that look. You give them a zone. You give them a couple different zones. I've seen them do that in some other games with a lot of success in the past as well. And all of a sudden, defense turns to offense. It's a 14-0 run.
Well, sometimes even putting on that full court pressure can really cause some differences as well. But Guilford has done enough in the half court. Obviously, you got to stay within your style, know what you're doing, and it's been a great comeback for Guilford. And despite those 2 runs, we still have under 5 minutes left in this first half. So, Sam, what do you think are going to be the keys to the game moving forward before the first half buzzer rings?
Well, I think we kind of stick with what we highlighted at the beginning of the game. Lynchburg did a really good job protecting the ball early on, those first 5 to 10 minutes. They've stacked up a little bit, only 5. That's not bad, but you are now not on pace. You're on pace to be in double figures in the turnover category. Like we said, you're not going to be able to win if that's the case, or at least the path gets much more difficult for Lynchburg. So you got to start there. You got to be patient on offense, but also don't compromise your tempo. This Lynchburg team that I think some of the reason they were having success early on was they made Guilford a little bit uncomfortable with the tempo they were given. Look at that, Landon Sutton right to the basket. Lynchburg's back in front. We need more of that. Don't play into Guilford's hands.
Sutton, a sweet look to the basket. And you can't think that you're out of this game because you allow the run back. I mean, if you could get 24-23 versus Guilford at this stage of the first half, I think you'd take it. You just have to understand that they are certainly ready to strike. Littlejohn, 3 going to go off the mark. Pearson Young, strong take to get it back. And now Sutton can take some time on the offensive end. We do know he is good as a point guard. Also has that shooting ability, but certainly needs some distributors now as Miles Taylor, we've said it so much. He's going to get back outside. Easton to the rack. One hand just can't finish. And now Birch has it for Guilford.
83% of Easton's shots on the year coming into tonight were from 3, so a rare 2-point attempt. Might want to go buy a lottery ticket if you're feeling lucky. Don't see those every game.
Might have a lot of those between the men's and women's games. How about that? Miles Taylor swatting it out to the stadium. And Guilford will keep possession under their bucket. 10 seconds on the shot clock.
Taylor trying to knock that one right out onto Schellenberger Field, the new turf out there. Lynchburg team not super disruptive down low, but they've had some moments here early on.
Hand check going to be caught on Miles Taylor, and just a couple seconds later. And for Coach Scott, you don't like that because you get away with a block. Great defensive effort, and then just a cheap one coming back. Ferris is going to replace Littlejohn. Guilford is still going with only 8 players off their bench, as we expected.
You almost wonder there, Evan, if Coach Palumbo's down there on the bench and said, I'm not sure I like that block that Miles Taylor just got. Let's send a little more size back in there, because Miles Taylor just 6'5", but against this Guilford lineup, you feel like he's got a size advantage about just about everybody. You send Farish back in there, though, and you're able to counteract that a bit.
Certainly plays big for his size, but he can still handle the ball, still can be the point guard if you need him to be. You don't have that on every single team. Talked about full court pressure, where here is a little bit, but it's just going to be enough to make Sutton think some things over.
Going back to your last point, Evan, when you talk about keys to the game moving forward, both times that Guilford has lost this year, they were trailing at the half. Lynchburg 0-4 when they're trailing at the half. So a lot to glean out of who's got the lead after 20 minutes.
Can be so crucial, and you wonder if it's more about confidence or if it is just sometimes the margin being too difficult to overcome. We've had some games in recent memory for Lynchburg where they have trailed big at the half, but that's why this game against Guilford can be so crucial, because you stay in it for the first 20 minutes, barring anything crazy in these final 180 seconds. But Sutton misses the front half from the line, shooting 2. This is a Lynchburg squad that shoots 65% from the free throw line, and that is something that we've talked about could be a difference maker if you get enough shots up.
Yeah, well, and they haven't gone to the free throw line very often today. They've been getting there with a little more frequency than they were early on in the year. Miles Taylor especially has developed a bit of a proclivity to get to the line. But yeah, you got to make a slightly higher percentage of those looks.
Great look from Proctor down low. That's as easy as it's going to get for Birch. Thanks at home. And now Guilford back up 2. Sutton going to take his time. We've seen him trying to isolate a few times and get downhill. He's done a great job of it when he gets the matchup. Here's O'Connor. Back out to Sutton. A lot of hedging on those screens, sometimes looking down court, but it doesn't matter because number 5 in gray is smooth off the touch and easy mid-range.
Grab your lunch pail, Landon Sutton going to work.
He can get it done just from a hustle standpoint. When he starts getting hot, you got to watch out as well. Lots of shooters on this Lynchburg squad, and that's what's tough. When you're a good team in the ODAC, you just don't know who could heat up. Advantage of a big bench. Dearman, that's a grown man's play, and silence in the gym.
That's your ODAC Player of the Year kind of play right there, because it's good defense from Pearson Young. The step back just nasty there, but a good answer from Lynchburg.
Maybe a good adjustment of tempo, because Lynchburg won't even let you really get to half court before they have the ball on the other end. It was a nice putback by Cam O'Connor. Going to keep it here as we have 1:47 remaining. Second game, women's basketball. Lynchburg taking on Washington and Lee. Kyle Haney and Sem Laduca will have you for that contest. And if you're joining us for this one, Evan Gates and Sam Graham, so proud, so excited to have you with us. And you know, it's been a season that has just been up and down and around. That's what you expected. But you look at what Lynchburg was doing last season. This men's squad, particularly 6-19, they have just been a new face team, and they've really brought a new sense of energy to Turner.
Yeah, and obviously if you're just thinking about recent memory, I mean, a couple tough trips out against some high-quality, high-caliber opponents in Hampton, Sydney, and Randolph-Macon. But other than that, Lynchburg just really been competitive in every single game they've played this year for the most part. And that's just been so refreshing, and you can kind of see them growing up right in front of our eyes and getting more confidence. And I think you're seeing that a lot right now, not getting rattled when Guilford made that run to, you know, supplant themselves firmly back in this game. Lynchburg now kind of going blow for blow with them, and we got a really entertaining second half setting up.
Coach Scott using timeouts at the right time. Referee using the traveling sign at the right time as Lynchburg will take possession. And quick turnover, Dearman going to check things over.
We'll go back to that point earlier about those fast break opportunities. Lynchburg, you know, found some success in the last handful of possessions, getting to the basket quick, not waiting, letting the shot clock get way down, not letting Guilford get too set on defense. The more you can manufacture those fast break opportunities, the better off you're going to be, especially when you can do it off of makes.
Opens up other opportunities. Easton misses this time. Ball rolling, going to stay with the Hornets. They get a nice call there. Shot clock resets to 20. Easton, it seems like every single time he takes a three, you think it's going to go in, but you do think about this. The way that Easton plays, he always is just set at that three-point line. That's the sign of a shooter when you know you're getting the ball. How about Miles Taylor? Big moment to put Lynchburg back up one in the final 60 seconds. Dearman almost lost it, and that's going to be a carry.
Well, maybe we'll get a chance to replay that last play down low. That was a fantastic play from under their own basket there from Lynchburg. They set the pseudo cut with Jason Easton. Defense collapses on him. Nobody closed the door. Miles Taylor waltzed in and converts and close. A great play drawn up from Coach Scott on the inbound.
Artwork. Frame it, put it in the museum. Lynchburg's used that play a lot, getting down to the basket, especially on that inbounds. Sutton trying to go around Proctor, back out to Easton, lane open, up and over, just can't fall. Guilford will likely hold it. No 2 for 1 in this opportunity. Here's Little John. Gonna try and get his fellow teammates involved, and you know, it is a one-point game. This could just be a little bit for confidence going into the break. It's a great pass inserted to Birch. He finds himself in wide open spots when he can make those cuts.
And those are really, really tough looks. If you're a defense, actually Guilford gets bailed out by the fact that Dearman fumbles the ball. Everything breaks down. Everybody collapses on Dearman. But Birch, he's got his head on a swivel, always there with the cut.
Sutton, he's trapped. He has to get something up. Young going to the basket. Was it a foul? We're going to wait and see what the referee says. Looks like the clock expired first. It was a big collision under the basket. Looks like Dearman took the brunt of that contact as Young went up. Met him at the rim. Coach Scott's getting his squad in the locker room, and so that will conclude the opening half. We hope that Dearman is okay, but we will take things to break. We'll have our halftime show on the other end with stats and analysis from Turner Gymnasium. 32-31 Quakers, and we've got a very fun contest in store in the final 20 minutes.
Tim Slusser from the Outdoor Leadership Program gave a presentation at a Teaching and Learning Resources Conference here about getting his program more involved on the academic side of campus. I mentioned computers and mapping, and he mentioned caving, and eventually we came up with the idea of mapping caves.
So the week before, we were able to learn how to use the instruments kind of like on a flat surface and just kind of get a hang of how they work. But it was really amazing how once we got in the cave, it was a completely different experience using them.
It was unique. It got most of us out of our comfort zone, kind of gave us a new experience, a new taste of something new. But I think the most difficult parts were getting the lighting right. You had to read the instruments with the headlamps while keeping your eye pointed on the plot point.
This allowed them to actually literally get their hands dirty, collecting data, conducting measurements, and putting all that together in the form of a map, and doing it in a place that's never been mapped before.
If I'm walking around over on the crowd side, I always hear someone yelling, "Hey Nat, take our picture. Hey Nat, get this," or something, or "Hey Nat, you got that shot?" Like, so I'm always like trying to photograph the crowds and my friends calling my name. I think sports at Lynchburg unifies us as a whole. No matter what background we come from, what differences we have, and what experience we've experienced through our lives, it brings us all together and we have one goal, which is to win. As a photographer, I definitely get to capture the emotion and the feel and the atmosphere of what's going on during the games and what's happening in the crowd and with the fans. We have hugely dedicated fans here at Lynchburg. They come out whether it's rain, snow, sleet, windy, no matter what, like they will come out and support their team and cheer them on. They will sit through anything. It's just, it brings us all together as one.
Get your career in the game by enrolling in the University of Lynchburg MBA program with an emphasis in sport management. This program opens the doors to new possibilities for a variety of careers, from being an athletic director or working in athletic administration to working for professional organizations, your favorite team, to running a local Parks and Rec department. And employers are increasingly requesting and preferring individuals who have postgraduate education, specifically looking for an MBA. And so the University of Lynchburg Sport Management concentration in the MBA program sets you up for success, and it sets you apart from the many other people looking for jobs in the industry. Learn from winners. Here you will learn from professors and mentors who have spent their careers doing exactly what you want to do. Increase your marketability in an $83 billion industry. If you have a 3.0 GPA, the GMAT is waived. There's no application fee, admissions occurs on a rolling basis, and our online program is ideal for working adults. When you enroll in this program, you enroll in the opportunity to learn from the best of the best. Your professors have a wealth of experience working in the sport industry that they share with you in the classroom setting. Get in the game by getting your MBA with a sport management concentration at the University of Lynchburg. You know, Hollywood, here I come. Hey, I meant, yeah.
The real Lindsay Piper's here.
Autographs there later.
A single thread is unique. Like each of us, full of purpose and potential. A strand designed to connect, strengthen, and unite. But we face different challenges and have different opportunities. By acknowledging that others may struggle in ways we do not, we can celebrate our differences, embrace each other, and fortify the ties among us. A single thread can fray, yet when it's woven with another, a bond forms. A new strength created by the fabric of the whole. Let's embrace the fabric we make together, the diversity of our threads, to reach beyond ourselves and overcome the impossible. The true power of our game comes from unifying our individual backgrounds, connecting our unique stories, enabling us to be stronger, braver, greater. We can achieve so much more when we are all as one.
What a season. The confetti is going to fall. Here she goes, and she's got it. How sweet is this, and how wonderful for the sport.
When you come to the University of Lynchburg to earn a master's degree in athletic training, you'll spend time in the classroom, but you'll also spend a lot of time in our top-notch facilities learning from athletic trainers and working closely with our student athletes. In the Graduate Cadaver Lab, you'll learn about the human body in the best way possible, by actually studying the human body. This will provide a foundation to make you a much better athletic trainer. In the Athletic Training Laboratory, you'll get hands-on experience, practicing your skills, applying concepts from the classroom, and working with faculty on research projects. It's also where our hydrotherapy facilities are. This space is also used by students for studying and practicing skills outside of class time. In the Sports Medicine Clinic and Turner Gymnasium, you'll work with student athletes from more than 20 NCAA Division III sports teams, helping get them back to practice and into the game as soon as possible. As an athletic training student, you're a big part of the success of our sports teams and the success of the local athletic teams. We see this relationship as a win-win situation. You learn, and that helps us win.
Upset alert in Turner Gymnasium. Lynchburg just trailing by 1 against the number 6 team in the nation, Guilford. Guilford leads 32-31, and we've got a whole lot more in store here in the Hill City. As we get ready for our halftime report, so excited that you're joining us on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Kevin Gates and Sam Graham. This is just the first part of a doubleheader here in the 4-3-4. We'll take a look at some of the stats from that opening half, and we know that Lynchburg came out firing from three-point range, especially 41% from beyond the perimeter, 40% field goal range. But this is a Quaker squad that started 0 of 7 from three-point range. They just came back quickly. Both teams have really stayed true to their style. Lynchburg running gun, Guilford trying to slow things down. And Sam, obviously those styles might have a pretty big impact on the final score.
Absolutely, and as we review our numbers from the first half, and we take a look especially at the ones that we highlighted at the outset, it's a lot of check marks for this Lynchburg team. I'd say really the only main area that they could do a little bit better in is coming up with a few more answers to that zone, and that's not necessarily something you can look at the stats, but I think that really got things going for Guilford on the offensive end, kickstarted that 14-0 run coming out of the timeout. But Lynchburg found some answers to it, found some ways to exploit it, found some lanes to the basket, and got back to that up-tempo a little bit that you were talking about as we got closer to the half. But as we look at a lot of the things they did well, we wanted Miles Taylor, big game Taylor, wanted him to step up. He's got 10 points, leads the way for Lynchburg. Rebounding, tied at 17 all. Turnovers, 5-5. Lynchburg on pace to be right at 10. If they can be at 9 or 10, they got a shot. I'm telling you, here we go. 1-point game at the half. It's right on cue there. Fast break points, 8-3 for Lynchburg. Lynchburg 6 assists to Guilford's 4. I mean, you're checking all the boxes. And if you're Coach Scott, I think this is one of those days where maybe it's not so much game plan at the break. It's telling your guys, listen, this is an opportunity to do something special. This is a pivotal point in the year. You're either dropping below 500 or you're going back above it and feeling really good about yourselves with 4 games to go. This is that moment where it's like, can Lynchburg make one final push heading into the ODAC tournament and be one of the hottest teams in the league? We got a big 20 minutes coming up.
We'll certainly want to feel good going into February. 2 more stats to keep an eye on. Lynchburg so far, no steals in this contest. You wonder if, okay, Guilford hasn't exactly shot the ball at an astronomical rate. Maybe Lynchburg can get a few of those turnovers and get points off turnovers. And then Guilford, no bench points to this point. Everything coming from that starting lineup. Granted, it is an 8-player rotation primarily for the Quakers, and so we do know lots of that production is going to come from their starters, 93% to be exact coming into this contest. So we've still got 20 more minutes. Hope you're as excited as we are. And here in the Hill City, Lynchburg looking to pull an upset.
Hi, Mara Willis. How are you? Pretty good.
A lot of people go to the universities to find something to be a part of while getting their education. And when you come here, Lynchburg is that something, it becomes a family. It doesn't matter how long ago you had your professor, they still remember you and they remember all of the hard work that you put in. They're always there for you and they always want to do the best that they can to help you succeed. Here you learn how to love one another regardless of what's going on or what you believe. You leave here better than what you came in. It's what this school's really good at doing.
Okay. We're good.
"20 minutes remain between us and the finale. We've got part one of the doubleheader. Evan Gates, Sam Graham, and this has been a game that has gone all over the place. You think about in terms of runs. Lynchburg comes out, I think it was 19-4, firing away, getting the threes open. The gym was popping, but then Guilford came back. And you knew the run was going to come. That's what great teams do. But now Coach Palumbo in the locker room likely trying to get his guys activated and calibrated. You want to make sure that the Quakers come out with energy. Lynchburg knows it's coming, and Sam, it's going to be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, let's talk some minutes from the meeting of the first half. You like what I did there? Coming into today, Guilford had 4 guys, sort of those 4 go-to guys, and then the 5th starter as well. But 4 of them, 600 minutes or more coming in. Lynchburg had none. Jake Hart, in fact, led the team in minutes with just over 500. But Lynchburg sticking to their guns, if you will, in the first half. All 5 starters played 10 or more minutes in that first half, and then Jason Easton was the other with 10 minutes. I think it's really important to get your shooters into the rhythm of the game, and Jason Easton a good first half.
Brilliant save going out of bounds from Faustin. Exactly to your point. You get guys warmed up and ready. Sometimes they can have a really good impact on the game. That first possession for Guilford had a good look. Dearman's shot touched every part of the rim but in. Now Lynchburg looking to respond. Here's Taylor. He's got room. Kicking out to O'Connor for 3. Front rim. Still trying to disrupt on the rebound. It might be a tie-up. It will be a jump ball. Hornets basketball.
2 hustle plays from Jonathan Faust to get us off and running in the second half. And, you know, sometimes you almost like when you get to start on defense and then you get that stop. That's always a great feeling there for Lynchburg. And then obviously had the possession arrow as well. So good sequence of events. And then on the shot from COC, I think maybe just those long arms of Farish closing out on him might have disrupted, you know, the timing and the depth perception on that one a little bit, because that's a rare far-off miss from O'Connor. He doesn't miss much at all, and usually when he does, it's, you know, rattling in and out or something.
Always interesting to see the different looks throughout a ball game, and sometimes the ones that are open are the ones that you're missing the worst, just have too much time. But either way, the Hornets have the ball. Keep in mind they were down 1 at the half, 0-8 when trailing at the half this season. Oh, what a first win it would be if they can get it against the number 6 squad in the nation. Pearson Young's shot, no good. Here comes Dearman. Surveying, he has an option to Proctor in the corner. Great pump fake, and Pearson Young powering through in a big block.
Lynchburg's reached its season average in blocks here with 18.5 minutes to go. And 2 memorable ones. That Miles Taylor one was a big-time swat.
No perimeter blocks. That's something you like to see.
Yeah, let Jonathan Faust cook. Let him cook.
Oh, we've got time to play for sure. Taylor out to Young. Shot clock at 10. Faust, that mid-range jumper a little off the mark. So first few shots for Lynchburg, just a little uncalibrated. We want to see if you can rein things back. Here's Proctor. Going to use the screen. We've seen lots of passes just trying to get to the bucket. Guilford does a great job at that slip screen, especially when Julius Birch is the one taking it. Is here now. Dearman has room up and off the glass with class. He is so thrifty when he gets to the bucket.
Big spill for Dearman at the end of the first half. He shook the rust off with a lot of ease there. Miles Taylor gave him the trap, the quick switch onto him after he got Pearson Young on his back, and then the quick pivot away from Taylor. And Dearman put on the Jets, and that was that. Gets to the basket and scores.
Another blocking foul. It's going to be against Birch as he went tumbling to the ground. We've seen a few of those today. Close to the circle this time, just don't think he was set. So we'll see on the replay some good looks to get to the bucket. Yeah, a little too off. And now Lynchburg has the ball. Towels have been out and ready to start the second half. We've seen a few plays already trying to keep the floor dry. Want to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, speaking of, man, now, right now we're not seeing it. Saw last night watching Ole Miss, Mississippi State. The Ole Miss towel guy, I mean, he stole the show, Evan. That guy got down all fours, laying down on the floor, wiping his heart out. He gets up, sprints back over to the baseline, and he's like pumping up the crowd. He's yelling, he's flexing. I mean, it was like the coolest display I've about ever seen. Everybody matters in the gym. I'm telling you what, everybody matters all the way down to the guy wiping up the floor.
Listen, he earned his paycheck for sure. Birch is probably not loving life right now. Another chance to try and take the charge. This one, I'd argue, was a little bit closer. But another blocking foul, another towel on the ground. So stalling play a little bit in the opening minutes of the second half. Don't have the mops here either. You see lots of college gyms have the big mop where you have the handle. You can actually make it a little bit easier. But, hey, if you're going to get on all fours, you can go for it. O'Connor just a touch off, and now Proctor can slow things down once more. It's easy sometimes with Guilford, the way that they play for time to run off the clock, but so far it's been pretty stop and go. Three-pointer, no good. Faust wants it. Pinball, and finally off the Hornets. Guilford will keep it under the basket. Nobody wanted it that time, but now Guilford gets the inbound, trying to make it a quick one. Spread in the perimeter. Here's Dearman. He says, I want it. Trying to take the matchup on Young.
Lynchburg back man-to-man. We'll see this one-on-one look to isolate Dearman on the far side.
Matchup to watch. A great fake off the backboard. No good. Got away with one there, did Pearson Young, but it was a very nice play from Dearman. He's one of those guys where he can keep dribbling, and he's not necessarily going to take a bad shot. He can just find those openings.
The arsenal's full there for Dearman. He's got every shot in the book.
This time down low, great pass to Miles Taylor. Insert and play, and a beautiful look. Pearson Young gets the assist, and Lynchburg still trailing by just one.
Miles Taylor touches, always a good thing.
Now away from the bucket, Miles Taylor just trying to watch his space on the floor. We know he has been sensational this year. Talk about that new leadership role. Proctor getting to the bucket. Young was just a little too deep to do anything about it. Another easy two for the Quakers.
Strong take there from the elder Proctor Luke. Arguably the best defender Lynchburg has, at least the top two. Faust and Pearson Young. Jake Hart takes the roof off the gym.
Heart and soul back at it again, and number one in gray will put it through. A tie ball game. And now Dearman can rein it back in.
That's two for Jake Hart tonight. Have to get the Hornet stats and info crew on it, but I believe that's the first time we've gotten 2 3-pointers in a game from Jake Hart.
Again, talked about it earlier. He's not that type of guy who's going to go shoot it a ton, pass first point guard, but boy, when he has those openings, he's not afraid to take them. Lynchburg just can't corral the rebound. It's going to be a foul. A loose ball foul. Looks like it's going to be on Miles Taylor. That will be Taylor's second. Nobody in foul trouble thus far except Julius Birch with 3. We'll keep our eye on that in this contest. We do know that that is a key to success for Lynchburg. You try to take it to the bucket, get those key contributors on the bench.
And Birch picked those last 2 up really quickly, only had 1 at the break.
Interesting enough, both of them were trying to take a charge too. You think, you know, he has the experience. I'm not going to discredit him because it was a good look, but unable to get the call. He does get the offensive rebound, and he gets the putback. Somebody the Quakers love to have on the floor.
Yeah, and we'll say this, those last 2 possessions, I mean, that possession is kept going 2 times by number 23, Julius Birch. It's just one of those, if you're Coach Palumbo, you love having him. It's like he's just going to go get that ball. He's going to want it more than the other guy. Lynchburg, you just got to contest him for those. The second one came off a little wonky, did kind of bounce to him, but that first one, he just outworked Cam O'Connor and Miles Taylor for it. So Lynchburg's got to keep that energy hot, especially on the defensive end.
Well, those are the types of guys on the court, too, as Proctor takes another one. Easton took it from Canada. This one might be from Europe. Holy smokes, from the wing of the Hornet. And that's just one of those a little unfortunate if you're Lynchburg. Give somebody too much space. As Taylor forces one on the other end. Going to go back to our point on Julius Birch. As hold that thought, we might have to watch the call. Referee going to talk things over. And yes, it will stay with the Hornets. Okay, time 3. We'll try this. Julius Birch at halftime going off. We saw Dearman had that collision under the bucket. He was the first one. Birch wants to get him up off the floor. Just talking to him coming back. You know, that's the type of guy you want on your roster. Just somebody who can really get things rolling in a hurry. Proctor's going to be called for the foul down low. Intensity in the building, Sam Graham.
Yeah, and those fouls did not stack up against Guilford in the first half. Now they're starting to. Lynchburg still only 3 free throw attempts to its name, and they're not going to add any right now. But that's 3 quick team fouls in less than 6 minutes against Guilford. They had only 4 in the whole first half.
Well, and you think about this too. 8 players have played for the Quakers. You get them in foul trouble. Immediately becomes a question of who you want on the floor. There's Pearson Young, powerful as a sophomore, the hometown guy getting it done.
Couple of hometown products here, Dearman and Birch for Guilford, Pearson Young for Lynchburg. It's just something different playing for the hometown team.
Here's Proctor again. Beautiful pass to his brother. He just couldn't finish. Gabe had a nice look. Somehow a little bit of wizardry for Dearman to get it back. Second opportunity, Proctor. He's not going to miss many of those. 3 fingers in the air.
Those Proctor boys, they're from Apex Friendship High School. They're not making many friends in this gym right now, but they're making some shots, aren't they?
You have 3 grad students in the starting lineup. I think the Proctor boys are going to be the future of Guilford basketball these next couple of years. Bring so much to the table, getting lots of experience now. Great screen from Pearson Young, but Taylor not going to pull the trigger. Young will, mid-range, believe it. 2 for number 33.
Something different in the gym when you get Taylor and Pearson Young clicking at the same time. It's just, the energy just shifts. It's really cool to see.
Pearson is a big moments type of guy. He wants to be in this situation. He's guarding arguably the best player in the ODAC. And he's enjoyed every moment of it, but you got to do the hard work. There's Jonathan Faust. We knew the block would come. Get up, young fella.
Not in my house, says Jonathan Faust. I mean, literally, he really said it, and he meant it. Emphatic block from number 14, Lynchburg, right in it with number 6 in the country.
Going to take a quick break. 12:38 to play. 4-point game. The gym is crowded, and it's just getting better here in the Hill City.
My name is Alexis Fabula. I major in criminology and I double minor in psychology and criminal forensics. My favorite part about Lynchburg is the friends that I've come to have. It's helped me come out of my shell more, and it's helped me become the person I am and the student I am. I really enjoyed how small the campus was, and I also really enjoy how small the class sizes are. It made me feel like I was going to be more engaged than I would at a bigger campus. If someone was on the fence of coming to the University of Lynchburg, I would definitely love to sit down and have a conversation with them, because I'm forever grateful that I made this choice. It's definitely something that a student wouldn't regret. Out of my 4 years here, I've not had one bad experience. I've had a great 4 years, and I'm going to be very sad to go.
Take a look at that last shot from Pearson Young, right in the face of the defender, with a chorus of men's lacrosse players behind him. Some of them still got their helmets on. I mean, it's a party in Turner Gymnasium. We got kids dancing in the stands, music's rocking, and Guilford's going to try to take it out from under their own basket here in a 4-point game. Lynchburg got the number 6 team in the country, and they got them on the ropes. Elijah Davis into the game for the first time as well.
You talk about getting hyped. You got your hype man on the floor. Dearman can do it too, and on the other end, smooth, calm, and collected. He's going to get what should be an and one opportunity. Take him to the line again. What a dagger coming out of the break. You got everybody dancing. Dearman says, okay, I'm fine with that.
Well, Davis was in his face and actually altered that first shot, and then the second opportunity, they're going to tag Davis with the foul, just a little over aggressive the second time around. Jim getting loud here on a free throw. I'm always a fan of this, Evan.
It's the lacrosse team entering the building that sometimes will ruffle your feathers a little bit, and you got Washington and Lee's women's squad sitting in the bleachers, and they could probably hear it for the next game as well.
Well, look at that. Made some noise on the free throw, and one of the better free throw shooters in the conference miss.
Hey,
crazy.
Causation does not equal correlation, but I like the 1-for-1.
Well, Evan, you didn't even say his percentage before he shot it either.
I mean, it's pretty high. We'll say 82%, I think.
4 of these Quakers in the top 15 of the conference at the stripe.
There's Easton. Kicks it back out to Young. A dribble. He was open. Takes the pass. Cam O'Connor's shaken up in the corner. Want to have a conversation. The referee was away from the play when they stopped it. Lacrosse team loving it.
Yeah.
As it's still heating up.
Guilford's going to have their work cut out for them on defense right now. I mean, it's not going to be easy on this right end of the floor.
Yeah, the problem is, too, a lot of the times it's not even that it's something that really hits that's being said. It's just the fact you have 50 of them in your face at all times. Easton went to the ground. Nice take, just couldn't finish.
Tough block from Littlejohn there. Good recovery.
This is such a long Guilford team, and they're so athletic when they meet you at the rim. We've seen a few of those today. They're not afraid to get up and take away those easy opportunities. Here's Littlejohn now, trying to get past Davis, runs into traffic and misses everything going up. Hart, the pass up front to Easton.
Davis almost dared him to put that on the deck, and still down is Littlejohn. Right now, Lynchburg's 5-on-4. Don't know if that was the best shot to take with the man advantage.
Foul under the basket. Littlejohn is up. Talking to the referee, saying they wanted a stoppage, you'd have to imagine. But a 5-on-4 break like that, I mean, I don't know if you want to take that contested three-point shot, but good spot to be in for Pearson Young. Gets that rebound ripped away. That's where the foul was called.
It's now 8 in the game, 4 already in the second half. So Lynchburg on its way to reaching the bonus here in the second half after failing to do so in the first. And good to see Littlejohn seems to be all right. Does take a trip over to the bench and might have spoken briefly with the athletic trainer, but seems to be doing all right.
We've seen both of those big Guilford contributors now really go through some tests, Littlejohn and Dearman. 2 of those 3 grad students that have really been the 3-headed monster for the Quakers this season. Still waiting as the referees talk things over. If you're just joining us, got another game following Lynchburg and Washington and Lee. WNL is the best team in the conference on that women's side, led by Mary Schleisner, who was a preseason All-American, and you expect that she will come very prepared for the Hornets. Hart's going to get that pass out to Davis. Another 3 in the corner. Bang his head. It's the tradition that sticks. Number 11 in gray, making it loud and proud.
He does not lack for confidence, Evan. He does not lack for confidence. And those shots, they're not easy. They're not high percentage. But boy, do they get a gem loud.
Proctor trying to do it on the other end. No good. Here come the Hornets. Chance to tie it up. Easton for 3. Exploding in Turner Gymnasium. Number 32. It's all tied up. The number 6 team in the nation. Hanging by a thread. We still got 10 minutes to play. Block down low. Can we catch our break? Can we catch our breath, folks?
5-on-4 break.
Lynchburg trying to keep things rolling. Now Hart out front. Coach Scott wisely saying, hold on, hold on. 46 apiece.
Biggest possession of the game so far.
Got to be patient and get that good look. Davis. It's another blocking foul down low. Guilford has tried 3 times now, and all 3 have gone against the Quakers. Discussion with the refs after that. We'll have to see a replay, but will be Elijah Davis at the line for 2.
Evan, not all 6-0 runs are created equally.
Absolutely not. You talk about a game where it feels like first to 60, first to 65, you throw out a number. Goodness gracious. Got to catch our breath. Davis, a chance to pull Lynchburg ahead. He misses the front end. This is a squad, as we've talked about throughout this season, shooting just 65% from the stripe.
Yeah, Davis is solid, 71% on the year, even better a season ago. Might just, still getting his legs under him, I think, trying to really get that stroke where he likes it.
Yeah, and that's so tough. We talked about it when he came back because, just where your injury is. We know he had a hamstring injury he's been battling through. that affects a little bit of everything. It goes to your shot, goes to your free throws, and it requires that much more work on the offensive end just to be able to get it rolling. But Davis has put in the hours. He's been in the clinic. He's trying to get things going back. Deflection, Lynchburg basketball.
There's one of those miscommunications. Like we said, you're not going to get many. This is arguably, Randolph-Macon certainly in there, but one of the most fundamentally sound teams in the conference. I'll toss Roanoke in the ring there as well. They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot very often. Lynchburg, big opportunity to capitalize here off an unforced error.
You're trying to pull an upset. You have to capitalize on these moments. Easier said than done. Easton trapped in the corner outside to Davis. Now the Hornets can run. They got 10 on the shot clock. Here comes Hart. And just need to space around a little bit. Kicked ball violation. Still 4 ticks. No, I think shot clock will reset as Littlejohn, good sign to see him back in the ball game, will replace Gabe Proctor.
High IQ play there from Jake Hart, because, yeah, you do earn yourself the partial reset back up to 20. So just a heads-up play again from a freshman who's made so many in his first year on Lakeside Drive, the Fuquay Verena product.
Say that 3 times fast. Davis trying to get downhill. Outside to Easton. Another 3. He's on fire. Can you feel it, Hornets fans? If you're not on your feet yet and you're in front of your screen, you might have to get there because Lynchburg has taken the lead.
If you're not on your feet, somebody might need to check your pulse. This is just a fantastic basketball game.
Birch back the other end. And how about a response from the grad student? He has certainly put on a show all game long. And a chance to equalize quickly after Lynchburg's three-pointer from Easton. Believe he's going to be 5 for 9 from three-point range in this ball game. All points coming off the three-pointer.
That'll actually be 4 of 5. Just one miss from beyond the arc for Easton. He's putting together a masterclass. And then the foul. Evan, I say this every game. Don't give fouls 90 feet from the basket, and definitely don't give them against Elijah Davis.
Coach Palombo's hands are up, and you can tell, can't tell if he's talking more to the ref or to his players, but either way, very big discipline moment. This is such a crucial stretch of this ball game. You can't wait until the under 4 stage where you're trying to close things out. This run right here, if you can get it, could be the difference maker.
It's probably one of the most oversaid things in sports, but cliches are cliche for a reason. The longer you let the underdog stick around, the lower your chance to win, especially in the opposing building.
Makovic for 3, the big guy off the mark. He's made a few this season. Birch wants a call. The whole Guilford bench wants a call.
He's made a few. In fact, he was the top three-point shooter by percentage coming into this game, 67%. Now he only had 3 attempts. We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll keep that quiet for now. Weaving in and out was Dearman. I think the foul was on the floor. So Guilford will get it under their basket. No, it looks like it is going to be a shooting foul. That sends Dearman to the line. All right, so we tested it. He's 0 for 1 when the gym gets loud. I mean, I don't know how much more specific we can get. Let's see if the effect keeps going. Nah, front end. And that's what the great players do.
Well, Dearman's been fantastic in the second half. It's up to 14 points now. Most likely going to get to 15 here in just a second, but we'll see. I promise I'm not trying to jinx him. Fantastic player is Tyler Dearman. Cool, calm, and collected. But I think somebody's going to need to provide that second spark. Birch has done it a lot on the defensive end, and that certainly counts. But on offense, the Proctors gave it to you for a bit there, and Guilford was able to extend that lead a little bit. But it's quieted down for everybody not named Tyler Dearman for the last several minutes.
Well, that's what you expect. You have Dearman, a guy who's going to get his. Young from the corner. Shot too heavy. Dearman has had double figures in all but 2 games this season. Scored 35 against William Peace. So you want to know what he can do, just go look at the stat sheet. Here he is now. Great pump fake to the corner. Proctor has all day long. Is short on the 3.
It's one that you really wish you had back if you're Luke Proctor. Could have extended this lead up to 4 on a wide open look. Instead, Lynchburg can take the lead.
Can be those swings in the game that are so crucial. There's a jump ball that will go Guilford's way. Makovic just got a little too strapped up down in the paint. Execution here so crucial. Guilford, if they can slow you down, especially with 7:50 left and they're still making baskets, that's when you got to be really questioning things, because you understand that, hey, the Quakers, with just a few baskets, it makes it feel like so much more. Here's Birch, gonna survey. Haven't said Farish's name very often. He has had a good impact. There's Julius Birch again. It's been a monster down low.
Third time he's caught Lynchburg sleeping. A lot of times you'll see Guilford rush one side of the floor. That's the side you got to watch for the cutter. And Makovic had the right idea, and he's gotten a block already in this game, rolling over at the last second, getting that backside block. He's just a little too late on that one.
Smartly timed timeout for Coach Scott. So we will take a quick break, but we'll be right back with you inside Turner Gymnasium. Lynchburg trailing by 3. It's a party in the 4-3-4.
I was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique, their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
The tunes have been alive all night long. Grab a friend and dance. We got 7:21 left to play. Lynchburg and Guilford, it's turning into a classic as the Hornets have stuck around in the second half. They've gotten the gym ready, and everybody just excited for a late Wednesday night, or late Wednesday evening game, we will say. We had that debate earlier, as the Hornets will have possession, down 3.
Right now it's looking more like a Lynchburg evening than a Lynchburg afternoon. We'll leave it at that. And again, Lynchburg sticking with its guns for the most part. Those minutes are really racking up. We're probably going to have a couple guys go over 30 in this game. Kind of like to see that, some consistency on these lineups.
Easton has been fantastic, the sophomore from Buchanan, Virginia. James River graduate. He's gotten threes, but he also shows that he can have that little floater in his game.
Well, Evan, you asked me yesterday some players to watch. We'll go ahead and pipe the Suffer Better podcast that we were on together, focusing on our Lynchburg cross-country team here. But you asked me some players to watch. I gave you Elijah Davis. I might have just had the wrong three-point specialist, though who knows? We got 6.5 minutes to go. There's time for Elijah Davis to get some of his own as well.
Caleb Farish, a nice-looking three. Just took a few steps back behind the line, makes it a 4-point game. Farish, 9 points a game, over 5 rebounds. Lots of offensive rebounds for the squad as well. Talking about his length down low. Now Easton. He's been guarded tightly by Birch. Davis off the glass. Beautiful look. And he is really just looking more confident now as he gets more reps back.
Tossed him that softball right down the middle. He took it yard. Giving the shout out to Elijah Davis. He puts it on the floor. A tough 2 for the three-point specialist.
2-point game. Got to keep your emotions in check at this stage. Dearman maybe forced it. And on the ground is Farish. Was the timeout called? Yes. Gonna be
second perfectly timed timeout right before that ball got tied up there. Heads up play is made by Guilford. That was one of those who wants it more moments, and both teams really wanted it. Just a smart play there, taking the timeout for Guilford with 5:46 to go.
Well, and think about Dearman's three there, and we don't want to speculate. I mean, he's a guy who can afford shooting that shot, and we've seen Guilford make plenty of them from way beyond three-point range, but that just felt a little forced. It feels like Guilford's kind of getting a few looks where they're not as comfortable as they want to be. That's that tempo battle that just keeps on building. Lynchburg from the gun understood what they had to do, and so you just come out. You really want to make sure you're strapping down those rebounds, but credit to Caleb Farish for getting down and dirty, keeping possession for the Quakers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a crucial time in the game here for Lynchburg. You're facing that 2-point deficit. And back to that Dearman shot you were just talking about, that would have been a huge moment. That's kind of a dagger if you're Lynchburg. Lead goes back up to 5, which feels like a lot in this stage of the game. I know there's 5:46 left, but points, although they have been scored in bursts and maybe made it seem like they're not that hard to come by, they're pretty hard to come by when you're playing this Guilford defense. Lynchburg's got to do their absolute best to keep this at a one-possession game, see if they can find some Turner magic in the final 60 seconds.
Well, and we know with Lynchburg, there are so many contributors. It's a democratic offense. Everybody's going to get touches, but for Coach Scott, it's going to be kind of tough trying to decide on that 5 late in-game situations because, you know, you have to ride the highs and what's going on, but so many guys are capable of being out there those final minutes, but you got to get there first. As Proctor, nice, nifty pass out to Farish, and it just seems like Guilford makes everything they need to. Timely offense for the Quakers.
Big shot. Timely offense is perfectly put there, Evan. Didn't get it on the Dearman shot. Farish got it instead.
Zone defense, they left Young wide open from the corner, no good. Hart trying to get the rebound, and this one might be a jump ball. It will be. The Hornets keep possession. So zone defense, once again, we saw, I think it was Littlejohn up at the start of that half-court pressure, but you just leave Young open. It takes one defender to really be lost in translation.
A lot of jump balls in this game. That's usually a pretty good indicator of a good ball game. Two teams leaving their hearts on the floor. We'll point out Cam O'Connor rolling out on the sideline. He's had some really good moments today, maybe not necessarily in the scoring column, just 5 points, but he's given Lynchburg 26 minutes. Hopefully he's able to check back in down the stretch.
You can really just sense his presence when he's in the game, and it doesn't always come through those buckets. 6 on the shot clock. Pearson Young, nice move over Dearman. Not going to get the foul. And was it deflected is the question. Yes, it's going to be overruled. So Hornets ball, you're going to have enough time for a pass and shoot situation.
Yeah, any way you cut it, Lynchburg should have the ball right here. Personally, Pearson Young maybe should be shooting some free throws, but Lynchburg will get the ball out under its own basket.
Easton just lost the ball, and everything was off when he went up for 3. Proctor, maybe a little extracurricular after the play, maybe not. We'll let you make the decision. Guilford has the basketball, and Birch will walk it up. So again, anybody can take it up for the Quakers. They are certainly comfortable in these moments. Proctor guarded tightly by Hart. You got to expect some energy down the stretch. Birch, pump fake, clinical. 2 more points for number 23, and he has been a very steady influence for Guilford, keeping them, I don't want to say in this ball game, now keeping them ahead, but those points add up. Here's Faust. Didn't have options. He finds Easton. Another 3-pointer. 4-point game, and Jason Easton is all over the court today. He is putting on a show. Make that, it will be 15 points.
Will actually be 17. I've disconnected from the Wi-Fi here. Sorry, Evan. Try to give you the assist and get that thing back up and running.
See, we're doing good to keep it manually today, too. We're doing a little bit of both. Lynchburg trying to put a stamp on a huge result, but now down 4. You got ways to go to get there. Pass out to Faust. Spots up for 3, no good. And Hart gets the rebound.
Then got fouled by Proctor. No call.
We'll leave that one. Faust again, another no call. Got contact on his arm. Hillary Scott is not liking it. You got to roll with it because it's going to be called whatever way the refs want to down the stretch. I think it's been pretty evenly called. We've seen lots of that contact go throughout the game, even on that last play of the first half. This one is called as Farish gets down to the rack, so he will go to the line for 2.
Yeah, and Coach Scott's mad about that one, and that's understandable because Lynchburg's been put in that position a number of times, driving to the basket, tough takes, and yes, it is a foul. They got the correct call there. Davis is on his back, but you want to try to find as much consistency as you can. You're right, Evan. For the most part, it has been a very evenly called game, but certainly every call, the closer you get to triple zeros, is bigger and bigger. So you just hope you can get as many right as possible.
Tough too, because those situations, it just seems like these free throws can really add up in Guilford's favor. Such a good free throw shooting team throughout the year. One more on the way from Farish. Lynchburg with just 3:11 to go, down 5, make it 6. So 2-possession ball game.
2 big makes there from Farish, just 59% on the year. Makes good on both of them though. Pushes that lead back up to 6. We will get Cam O'Connor back in the game. He'll replace Elijah Davis, and MT Miles Taylor checks back in as well.
Great injection from Elijah Davis, what he was able to do while he was in this ball game. And now it comes down to really trusting your passes. Zone defense for Guilford. Variation of a 1-3-1 as Pearson Young wants to talk things over. And the Lynchburg huddle, we're going to take what might be our final break of the evening in game 1, but we'll be back from Turner Gymnasium for the finale. Guilford up 6.
The biggest thing that I've taken from Westover is probably my interactions with faculty. I started working with Dr. Fryer. He's always available for help, and he makes sure that I get to do the experiments and not just be there while he does them. I didn't want to limit myself when I came here to just taking the prereqs for med school. I wanted to get a full, well-rounded education, and I definitely found that in the Westover program. It's given me the opportunity to keep playing soccer at a competitive level, but also it's given me the ability to be a student and to pursue other activities such as EMS. "100% do Westover because it's not something they're going to regret, and it's going to be a lot of work, but so is everything else. It's just going to help build their education that they've already had and make them a better person for it."
Well, we don't want to put too much into stats throughout the season, but the 2 teams that have been able to topple Guilford have done so with single-digit turnovers. Right now, Lynchburg's at 9, so, you know, if they can maybe keep things clean down the stretch, can get right back into a tie ball game, but it's going to take some elbow grease in doing so. Down 6. You don't want to just force the 3, but it has been working to the Hornets' favor.
2-possession game, 3 minutes to go. To build on your point, Evan, you playing the number 6 team in the country, you do got to play pretty close to mistake-free basketball down the stretch.
Easton wraps around and lays it off the window. That was a beautiful look. Talked about confidence with Miles Taylor. Go ahead, throw Jason Easton into that conversation. We've had his name mentioned a handful of times. Great pass from Proctor, leads Dearman to the hoop. And that's going to be a foul on the floor. Hart wanted a jump ball violation. It looks like it will be called on, will be Jason Easton, not Cam O'Connor. So 6th team foul, 1 away from the bonus.
6 for both, so it's free throws from here on out. 2:30 to play.
Wonder how that will throw wrinkles in this game. Dearman, another shifty move. He is so confident when he gets the ball, and we've seen him in the paint quite a few times today. Just seems like he is able to really become versatile, know where he's at on the floor, and Lynchburg really needs a bucket. Off the hands of Easton. Corrals now trying to control. 12 seconds on the shot clock. Taylor spin move into the lane. He was just off the mark, and that was as good of a look as you're going to get.
A great spin move to free himself up, and then back to that last basket made by Dearman. It really starts with the hips for Dearman. He's gotten Pearson Young on that turnaround a couple of times today, and just so good faking with the hips. That's what the good players can do.
Isolated or passing, it does not matter for number 34. Here he goes now. Creates space, mid-range again. Couple bounces on the rim. Birch, great hustle to get the ball back. Shot clock resets. So, as we've said, Guilford's slow-moving style is giving them a big advantage down the stretch. It is still a 6-point game, but we do know Lynchburg will have to be immaculate. Foul, count it. Dearman goes to the floor again. He has been all over this ball game in the clutch time moments. Another and one opportunity.
Yeah, and that was great hustle there by Birch, and he's had a lot of great hustle plays today. That's one of those things that doesn't pop up in the stat sheet that he brings to the game. But he was also unchallenged for that ball. I think the Lynchburg team was content to let it roll out of bounds, and I'm not questioning Hart by any means because there's been a ton of it in this gym tonight. But those plays down the stretch, that's just a killer. 67 seconds to go now. The lead's at 8, and it can grow.
Well, and that's a tough stylistic thing for Lynchburg because you talked about them trying to make it a track meet, keeping the pace quick. Well, you know, characteristic of that is diving out of bounds for those balls, keeping it in play, but, you know, smart, maybe just a little too comfortable for Coach Scott's squad. So 67 seconds to go. And wonder what is being drawn up in the huddle now. Elijah Davis will go to the scores table as you see on your screen.
I think that's some defense for offense there from Lynchburg. As we get into this portion of the game, 8-point game, we'll see if Guilford's able to extend it. We mentioned every foul from here on out is the bonus, so it'll be free throws the rest of the way. In the free throw department, Guilford the edge, 12 of 14 on the day. Lynchburg's only taken 5, and they've only made 2. So that's going to need to flip in a pretty drastic way if Lynchburg's going to be able to get back into this thing down the stretch, and certainly it could. Lynchburg 10 of 24 from 3, 41%, putting on one of their best three-point shooting displays of the season. That I'm sure will be leaned on here down the stretch. But yeah, Evan, just a couple of plays since we hit that 3-minute mark where it felt like you really had to button things up, tighten down the hatches, and really play pretty close to mistake-free basketball here. And that, you know, Lynchburg just a couple of moments. You look at that hustle play, Birch keeping it on this end, leading to this and one opportunity. You look at that spin move to free up right down the lane, a shot we've seen Miles Taylor make so many times that just is off the mark, just some of those little things, and now you're in an 8-point hole.
Well, it's been certainly pretty even from a statistical standpoint. The big stat that stands out, they've done it different ways. Guilford just 3 bench points, Lynchburg 29. But Guilford's starting lineup so crucial, as is the man at the line, Tyler Dearman, make it 20 points on the day, leads all scores. Jason Easton has 19 for the Hornets, what has been a standout performance from this season. They got to move quick. Here comes Young, trying to get it to Easton in the corner if you can. The pass leads him there. Mid-range shot off the mark. Ball loose. Who wants it? And looks like another jump ball will be called. Guilford is going to take over, and that is one that just makes your heart sink if you're Coach Scott. Faust will step back into the ball game.
Lynchburg just 1 steal on the game. We'll get the full court press now, and Lynchburg will hope that that can turn up a couple of miscues against Guilford. You're in that tough spot, though. I know you're 53 seconds out, but you almost feel like from this point you kind of have to start fouling 3-possession game.
Want to get the trap first. We'll see what Proctor does with it. Got in trouble. He throws it off Hart, so Guilford will keep it. And those are the situations that you have to get Guilford into if you're Lynchburg. Don't give them any open lanes. Dearman is going to step out of bounds. So really 2 for 2 on trying to turn this squad over, keep the pressure going.
That's miscue, unforced miscue number 2 there. We said you're not going to get many, 2 or 3. What matters is whether or not you can capitalize on it, but that's a big-time stop. Only 5 seconds of game time lost there for Lynchburg.
Now an inbounds chance, a quick shot. Elijah Davis falling from 3-point range, no good. Dearman is off to the races. Here comes Farish. It just might be the exclamation mark as Guilford has gone back and forth. Dearman got the turnover, misses the layup. And the Quakers have quickly silenced this gym. Down the stretch, it has been a close one the entire way. It's not over yet as Lynchburg still a very steep climb back, 28 seconds to go, and we'll get another timeout. Look at Farish get up and at it, and he's just one of those guys. I mean, you talk about Guilford really playing just 8 players throughout the matchup. They've had 9 now as Augie Brody stepped in very briefly. But I want you to think about this, Sam. I mean, it just seems like when you have those guys out playing together in these moments, you know where your teammate's going to be, and that can be such a difference maker.
Yeah, they're the number 6 team for a reason. They've created an identity early in the year, and they've stuck to it. And you hear if it's not broken, don't fix it. Yeah, this holds true here for Guilford. And then when you get in these situations, these tough looks on the road where you might find yourself trailing late in the second half, you don't panic. You don't deviate from the plan. You stick to it. You stay at it. And more often than not, you're probably going to pull these types of games out. And they're not completely out of the woods yet, but 3 possessions and 28 seconds to go. Lynchburg's going to need some help from Guilford. It's going to need to shoot itself in the foot a couple more times down the stretch here, and we'll see what happens. But Guilford, it feels like here down the stretch, it's kind of made the plays that it needed to at the times it did. It didn't get rattled by the energy in this gym, and right now it looks like they're going to be rewarded with a very, very hard fought, no matter what the final score winds up saying. And they got all they bargained for from Turner Gymnasium tonight, so shout out to everybody that's been in attendance. Shout out if you're listening along with us live on LHSN. It's not over yet. But Lynchburg certainly brought the energy in game number 6, all they could handle.
Scary team to run into in Salem. I certainly think the ODAC has been alerted. The squad beat Hampton-Sydney earlier in the year. That was really the first big message coming across from this North Carolina team that has just provided thriller after thriller. Just 2 losses on the season. Looks like it will stay that way after this one. And you thought last season, if you're a Guilford fan, you're losing Jordan Davis. You knew you had talent coming back, but you're not always guaranteed the grad student experience. But what the man has done at the line, along with Julius Birch, Littlejohn, it goes down the bench. I mean, this team just really looks poised to make that run in the NCAA tournament.
Well, yeah, and we'll break it down a little further. 18-19, they make it to the Elite 8. Next year is the recruiting class of Birch. These graduate students, Birch and Dearman, obviously the main 2, and just steadily those stair steps, almost reaching the pinnacle last year in the ODAC title game. So this year it's trying to put those finishing touches on, get back to the NCAA tournament, and potentially make a run.
If you're a Guilford fan, certainly feeling optimistic because it has not been a straight path. You've seen lots of these games that have gotten pretty iffy, but I wouldn't say that Guilford played poorly in that first half. They had some rough shooting, few errors here and there that have really shot themselves in the foot, but Guilford has come back and using the free throw line to their advantage. So Lynchburg after this game going to fall to 10-11. Obviously it has been a tough stretch of conference play, and so you expect them to get a few wins down the stretch, but it's a great character development moment for the Hornets. And not saying this is a young team, but this is a team with lots of new faces. You wonder how they respond going into February. 2-6 in the month of January as this one goes final. Dearman will add 1 rebound to the tally, and that's going to do it from Turner. First game in the books, and it was a roller coaster of emotions. We're so glad that you've been here with us. 73-60 lights up the scoreboard in favor of the Quakers. Sam, it's been a 40-minute track meet / slow it down / crowd getting involved all over the place. Just a lot of fun.
Yeah, Tyler Dearman, they leaned on him when they really needed baskets. Julius Birch, his hustle, his athleticism, his heart and intensity on the defensive end in particular. I thought those 2 guys really carried things. The Proctor brothers, it seemed every time they needed a spark of enthusiasm, of energy, the Proctor brothers had a big shot or were just firing up the bench area, so they certainly brought it. And a great game for Farish as well, 16 points, 4 rebounds in his 37 minutes. But back to Dearman, that's his 11th 20-point game of the season. He was fantastic, knocked down his free throws, 9 of 10 at the line, knocked down 7 from the floor. And again, maybe it wasn't a perfect game, maybe it wasn't his best of the year, but it was that type of all-American game where you just keep at it, stay with it. At the end of the day, you carry your team to the victory. And again, that 11th 20-point game of the year for Tyler Dearman.
Hard not to like some of those Quaker guys, the way that they go out and perform for their team. you certainly are going to run into them if you're trying to win an ODAC title. I think everybody understands that now. So we look at the stat sheet. Dearman is what you would say our player of the game. 24 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, that is a mouthful for the man in the maroon. That's Guilford got it done.
That's a Sarah Brandstatter type of stat line right there.
Well, that's
stuffing it.
Pretty good on cue, too, because you can see Sarah Brandstatter if you stick around for about 40 minutes. But we'll finish up this one. Lynchburg side of things, Jason Easton had himself a day, 5 of 7 from three-point range, added 2 rebounds to the tally. But unfortunately for Hornets fans, Lynchburg will fall. So Guilford gets the victory. Kyle Haney and Tim LaDuca will take you through game 2 of the night. And, you know, it's such a fun affair. I want to wrap up some final thoughts before we head that way. Sam, 2-6 in January, for this Lynchburg team. Do you think they're phased? Do you think that they're looking too much into that, or do you think there's a chance to really bounce back ahead of the ODAC tournament?
Well, Evan, I might have been a tiny bit concerned about that coming into this game, but I'll say any fears that I had are kind of quelled. And I know it's a little easier to get up for these big games when you're playing number 6 and you're playing in your home gym, and they had the energy that they did tonight. But like I said it, coming down the stretch in the game, no matter what the final score is, it wound up being 13 at 73-60. That wasn't a 13-point ball game, and Guilford knows that too. They know that they were pushed to the absolute brink for really 37 minutes of this 40-minute ball game, and then maybe a couple miscues here and there that Coach Scott and company may want back down the stretch just wound up costing you. But that's the thing, when you're not playing Guilford and you're not playing Hampton-Sydney and you're not playing Randolph-Macon, you might be able to afford a couple of those, self-inflicted errors that tonight might have proved a bit fatal. Lynchburg still did only have 10 turnovers in the game. That was down a good bit from what it's been these last couple games, and I think that's a really encouraging sign. And most games, if you go in, you have 10 turnovers or fewer, you'll probably win. Lynchburg more assists than turnovers. I mean, they did pretty much everything you could have asked of them, and Guilford just made the big plays that we know they can make. Lynchburg's got some games down the stretch here that are going to be big. Hopefully you can draw back up to at least 500 in league play. You feel like every game left is winnable, but none of them are gimmies. So we'll see what Lynchburg's got here down the stretch.
And listen, postseason's a new season. I think everybody knows that. So when Lynchburg can get themselves to that position, you just might be able to spark an upset. We got a great one at home coming up. The next home contest for Lynchburg will be on Valentine's Day against Washington and Lee, the Code Red contest. So if you thought tonight was loud, just wait until everybody's in the building for that one. Yeah. Washington and Lee, we'll let you talk in a second, Sam. Washington and Lee on the schedule for this women's squad, another team that's up near the front. Those are one of the teams, when they come in the gym, they're just always ready, always prepared.
Yeah, that February 14th, it might be Valentine's Day, and everybody in the gym might be wearing red, but there's not going to be any love in the air for that one. It's going to be a big one for Lynchburg. Roanoke's next up, February 3rd on the road, and then a road game in air quotes because they're just going about 10 minutes down the road over to the Rivermont area to take on neighboring Randolph. Those are the next 2 on the road, and then like you said, Evan, we'll be back here in front of you on February 14th.
So much fun to be had, and the season really just unraveling. So we're going to let you go. Eat supper. Enjoy your time. Come back for the women's game. Its anticipated start time is 7:30. Big thanks to our director, Kyle Ayers, and our entire LHSN squad. On behalf of Sam Graham, I am Evan Gates saying so long from the Hill City.